Roman is the biggest bad guy character in professional wrestling.
When's the last time you got laid?
French Toast is the exchange student that you have like a 3-week affair with.
Like, we can see that you don't have pants on.
Can we tell the truth about Dusty sooner or later?
Less people wanted that than are currently watching our stream.
And you know Vince, and you still think, are these true? It's like...
Welcome to the Mark It Down podcast.
Hello, and welcome to the Mark It Down podcast, where it's Friday night. You know what that means. We decided to actually watch Smackdown, and I guess we're going to talk about it. My name is James Gisanti. I am joined by Matt Cascone, and we are still on the road to WrestleMania. And boy, I've been saying it. What a weird road this has been. Somebody made a wrong turn at Albuquerque a little while ago, but it's quite an interesting trip. Whether you're a fan of the Bloodline or not, you can't deny we are in, for the first time since I'd say last WrestleMania, the most interesting timeline, or the most interesting time this group has seen in a long time. We're going to get into the main event soon. We're going to get into the meat and potatoes as much as we can, but I think we should start the show from the beginning. But before we get into the whole thing, Matt, how are you? How's life?
I'm good. Life's good.
Good.
I met Nick Wayne last week, so that was fun.
There you go.
Together. And yeah, like you said, is WrestleMania turning into the darkest timeline? We'll see.
No, it's the brightest timeline. I am 100% in. I am 100% in that this is going to be a great WrestleMania. I am just shocked. There it is. Look at that photo. Look at those smiles right there. I see the familial resemblance.
He's a good kid. He's a good kid. I'm very proud of him.
So, no, I am very much excited for this year's WrestleMania. I am very happy to finally have my tickets for this show because I think they're going to deliver a great card. I'm just shocked at how we've gotten there. I'm surprised with the journey this show is shaping up to be. But like I said, we'll get into all the good stuff as we can, but we're going to start the show at the top, where we had an Elimination Chamber qualifying match between Kevin Owens and Dominik Mysterio. There you go. Fight, Steen, fight. I remember when it used to be Kill, Steen, kill. That's how old I am.
I still have that shirt. Don't wear it anymore.
I'm sure I do too. I thought this was a fun matchup. I think Kevin Owens always does very well when he can blend both his serious side with his more humorous side, and an opponent like Dominik Mysterio really brings that out of him. Producer boy, I got to correct you on the bottom. It's not Dominik with a C. It's Dominik with a K. We respect felons in this house. We're going to put some respect on his spelling. But
Kevin is fun, right? Oh, wow. Oh, no. Get rid of one of those Ks.
Two of them. Get rid of two of them. I enjoyed this matchup. I really loved Kevin swinging his hips for the three amigos. I thought that was really fun. I thought that was really silly. And once again, just to spoil the lead, Kevin Owens has qualified for the men's Elimination Chamber match in Perth, Australia for this weekend. Good show. Next weekend. This weekend?
A week from tomorrow.
A week from tomorrow. Next week. He has qualified for it with the help of maybe a Judgment Day member, R-Truth. R-Truth, instead of offering a chair to Dominik Mysterio the way Dominik requested, instead sits down in it and allows him to get distracted enough for a super kick by Kevin and then a pop-up powerbomb. Before we get into everything, let me just say, my God, is the pop-up powerbomb so much better than the stunner.
But it's not as iconic. I agree with you 100%, but it's not as iconic. That's why.
This is what I'm going to say. Eugene used to hit a stunner. That doesn't make it iconic. All right? Lots of people can hit any move. Wardlow hits an F5. I don't think, wow, that's the iconic F5. I think, okay, that man's hitting a cyclone. And it looks great, but it's not the Stone Cold Steve Austin stunner, you know? So Kevin Owens, when I think of Kevin Owens, I think of pop-up, or I think of power bombs onto the apron. That's what I think of with Kevin Owens. So I much prefer the pop-up power bomb. I like him having the stunner, but I would rather the stunner almost be a setup for the pop-up power bomb, or just something he hits on guys he can't hit the pop-up on. If he's facing a huge dude, I get it. Go for the stunner instead. But I really, really do enjoy the pop-up power bomb.
What I like is always when these guys, they have a finisher and they come with a new finisher, and their old finisher just becomes a signature. I like when every once in a while they'll bring out that old finisher and they'll get a pin with it. And I think this was great tonight. Especially, it's a great lead up. You know, he hits him with the super kick and then immediately hits him with the stunner. It's like there's no shame in not kicking out of that.
Well, stunner or pop-up power bomb?
All right, that's what I meant. Pop-up
pop-up power bomb. You're good. As the tweet shows in the back that producer boy so graciously put up, Kevin hitting that super kick and then a vicious pop-up power bomb to get the 1-2-3. Now, obviously, I'm very happy Kevin Owens is in the Elimination Chamber. Kevin is the type of opponent or combatant you want to see in those scenarios. He is willing to jump off of things. He is willing to put himself through things. He is vicious, and he is at home in a match like that. But I would have loved to see some Dominik Mysterio antics in the Elimination Chamber. And we're going to get into it a little bit more later. We're seeing a dangerously low amount of people from Raw to compete for the Raw World Heavyweight Championship. Kevin Owens is a SmackDown guy going for the opportunity to go for the Raw World Championship. And granted, maybe that's fair because Cody is a Raw guy who's going to be going for SmackDown's Undisputed Universal Championship, but
they're flip-flopping.
They are flopping. But any thing you want to really get into on the match, let me hear it.
KO is always great. I love the opening. He points to a guy in the crowd who has his KO sign upside down, and he's like doing this. So KO is really good with the crowd in this match later on as well. And honestly, it was interesting. I think R-Truth, he comes out, he thinks KO is the Miz, so he's being his normal crazy self, but he seemed very in tune later on with the whole chair thing. He just seemed kind of spiteful, like, oh, you want this chair? No, I'm just going to sit in it. It wasn't like he was acting confused and stupid. He was actually, to me, I interpreted him as being spiteful. And it's like, is this theory about Truth actually being a genius? Is it bearing fruit here?
I am not that big a conspiracy theorist, but I love this theory. I love this concept of Truth actually being an evil genius and manipulating people into thinking he's the fool. So I'm very much in support of what you're bringing up. What up, Nas? The dynamic duo are back again. What's up, my friend? So happy to have you here on the pod. Always a pleasure. BX, Kevin said that he switched to the stunner because a lot of people were using the pop-up power bomb as a regular move, so it made it look weaker. And that's fair. That's fair. But I've always been a big believer in finishers are in the eyes of the finisher-er. Well, hold on one second. I'm so proud of you. You were so resistant in the beginning here.
Speaking of finishers, do you think we'll ever see the package pile driver?
Not in WWE. Not in WWE. I mean,
one can hope.
Look, is it possible for the future? Sure, maybe. We're under a new leadership, so I never want to say never, but I don't think it's something we're going to see for a long time until Kevin is back in the main event scene. I don't think he's going to just whip it out randomly. But good matchup between these guys. Let's see. Nas here in the comments saying, R-Truth finally wised up. And remember, he wasn't wearing the Judgment Day shirt. That is a great point, Nas. He wasn't wearing his Judgment Day stuff. Maybe we're seeing, if Truth isn't some evil genius manipulating things in the background, at the very least, maybe he is wising up. Dev, what up, guy? Happy to have you here, Dev. Always a pleasure. Thank you for joining us this Friday night as we cover SmackDown. Moving on, we did have a what did we have? We had a backstage segment, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we had a backstage segment between Drew McIntyre and L.A. Knight.
Yeah.
There you go. I gotta say, there are very few people, in my opinion, who can legitimately keep up with Drew on the mic. I think Drew is one of the most underrated people when it comes to back and forths in a promo battle. And LA Knight, yeah, I didn't even mean to say the yeah, we all know he is great with the catchphrases, but the truth is he was also great competing with Drew. It wasn't just catchphrases, as Drew pointed out. He was calling him out. He was being dead serious with the things he was saying, bringing up the fact that as long as LA Knight's been in the company, Drew hasn't been a champion of anything. Great point. He talked about the CM Punk shirt with, the meme shirt that we've seen where it's Drew and the gravestone of CM Punk's Mania aspirations. And LA said, maybe we put DM Punk on there because quite frankly, you're just as dead when it comes to success. Drew tried warning LA Knight about how the crowd could be, let's just say, fickle. But LA Knight wasn't having it. And great back and forth between these two guys who just feel like they're constantly on the cusp of being the main event of the company. Did you like this segment?
Yeah. I mean, we'll later learn that they're going to have a match next week. So this was great planting the seeds of that. And I'm looking forward to, hopefully their in-ring action will be as good as their mic work, which I think they obviously have the potential to live up to that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. See, I don't agree with this tweet saying LA Knight kind of cooked Drew, I'm afraid. He's the babyface who got over on the heel. Drew doesn't look like he's getting outclassed. Drew doesn't look like he's getting schooled. It's just the good guy got the win in this promo packet, in this promo battle, which he probably should. He is the good guy.
And he didn't have to result to just punching him in the face, which I feel like is what every promo leads to with the good guys.
Absolutely. That's what separates the good promos versus the I'm just happy to be speaking promos. So great work between these two men. I quite frankly be happy with either of them winning a title much sooner than later.
My thoughts exactly.
We then go to another backstage interview, this time between Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. Dunne said things were going great, and last week was proof of that. Dunne said that all that's left to do is win the tag team titles at the Chamber. Bate then named them New Catch Republic. Dominik showed up out of nowhere and said they won't beat anyone in Judgment Day. Bate and Dunne then challenged Dom and R-Truth to a match next week, but Dominik stormed off. I'll be honest, I'm super in. I'm super in on Dunne and Bate being a tag team. I think this is the best way to go for both of them. I don't see them taking the titles off of Judgment Day. I think I hate to say it because I enjoy them so much. I think they're the two type of guys that need a central figure to help guide them, which is what I loved about the Brawling Brutes. I felt it helped give Dunne and Ridge direction in any way. But I'm not saying Sheamus needs to be that guy. But it definitely feels like they're a man short of this being a complete unit.
I think that's fair to say for sure. I'm also not too keen on New Catch Republic. I feel like British strong style is great, but who knows if do they not own the rights to that?
That's the thing. It's a pretty general term, so I'm not entirely sure if they can get away with it. I think on on the indies, there was no trouble. Nobody was going to challenge them in an untelevised situation. But I do think that we're looking at probably something they just don't want to deal with the hassle.
I guess, yeah, it's just easier to come up with something new and not have to deal with another yeet situation or anything like that. But I think you hit everything on the head there. Hopefully they have a great match and it'll just lead to more opportunities. That's like the best case scenario that I can think of.
We can hope. We can hope. Look, DIY had a slow start after forming on the main roster, and now they feel really hot. They should have lost to Dunne and done in bait, but they are hotter than they have been in their entirety on the main roster. So give it some time and we'll see how it goes. Just go into the comments. BX saying, I want the World Heavyweight Championship on Drew. And yes, he did steal that take from me. I will die on the hill that Drew McIntyre should be the face of almost any company. So I'm glad you're on board, BX. BX also saying British Strong Style being back has made Nick M so happy. ... He's still on the show, right? We love Nick M here. Nick is a valuable member of the team. He might not be a face you guys see all that often or ever, but his insight in our group chats are always welcome, always beloved, and I hope he's having a good time in North Carolina right now. Nas saying he agrees with us that the tag team coming up. He agrees with us about the tag team match coming up, but the match is going to be good. I agree. I'm not complaining. I will take a predictable but good match almost any day. And BX also finishing up saying WWE also hates using anything they don't have exclusive rights to. Very good point, Nick. Wish you were here, buddy. Danny, bro, why didn't you start with the headline? Because you're not here to tell me what to do, sir. We, like any good sequence, you got to build up to it. You can't just ram it in. You can't just shove it down people's throats. You got to make them want it. But anyway.
The analogies there. Yeah, like on paper tonight, it's a must-see episode of SmackDown. In reality, was it must-see? I don't know. You're just going to have to keep listening to us and find out.
Exactly. We're all friends here. You know, I'm warming you guys up for the People's Champ. All right.
So next up, we got, I believe, Zelina versus Tiffany, correct? And this match got spoiled by WWE.com.
I didn't know. Hey, I didn't know BX was Razor Ramon, but yes, I'm so sorry. You were correct. Tiffany Stratton versus Zelina Vega to qualify for the Elimination Chamber at the pay-per-view. I'm just gonna say it. Tiffany Stratton is somebody you strap a rocket on. She's somebody you recognize right away all that you have with her, and you push her as hard as you can. That was a really good 619 from Zelina there. This was a fun back and forth matchup. But you know what, Matt? You take it. What did you think of it? Tell me, and then you can send it to me. I want to hear you speak. Speak those beautiful words.
Sure. Yeah, no, I think it was a solid matchup. I agree with what you said about Tiffany. I think it was unfortunate that she had to debut the night that like The Rock comes back to SmackDown. Personally, I would have saved her main roster debut for the night after WrestleMania. I feel like she has unfinished business. She has more work to do in NXT storyline wise. You know what I mean? I feel like there's more story there, and I'm not in a rush to get her to the main roster and potentially, get lost in the shuffle. But she is very talented. You're seeing some of the clips from the match.
That was an absolutely amazing sequence to get into an Alabama Slam. Just very innovative, very unique.
And her prettiest moonsault ever, Christopher Daniels, I'm sure would be proud.
Absolutely.
He takes the win, and Zelina doesn't suffer because, there was kind of sort of outside interference from Legado del Fantasma in a weird sequence where Zelina grabs Elektra Lopez out. She's in the crowd, grabs Elektra Lopez over the barricade to then throw her back over the barricade.
Nope.
Seemed kind of silly, but it's forgivable. And Tiffany wins without Zelina. Besides the silliness, she doesn't look terrible.
Yeah, no, she doesn't look terrible at all. Zelina will continue to be booked as a scrappy but passionate underdog. She will probably lose more matches than she wins, unfortunately. I was saying this to you prior to starting the pod tonight. Tiffany is the right winner in this matchup, but it is a shame that we're not going to see Zelina in the chamber. Her high flying, her willingness to dive off of things is exactly the type of energy you want to see in an Elimination Chamber match. So again, Tiffany Stratton beating Zelina Vega makes sense. Producer Boy, is there any way to like reduce how big our little thumbnails are when you're playing something in the background? There you go. Thank you.
Hey,
Good job, man. Excellent moonsault. Excellent moonsault onto the outside. And quite frankly, I know we talked about the prettiest moonsault ever being the finish of this match, getting the 1-2-3 for Tiffany Stratton. She landed hard on Vega. She landed like legs right into Zelina's stomach.
knees, knees,
Yeah, the knees went right into it. It was I don't think anybody did anything wrong. I just think Zelina was probably placed a little bit too close or too far. Yeah, it had too close.
Yeah, too close. It was hellacious, but it looked great.
Great bit between these two women. I will say, I don't necessarily agree with you about Tiffany waiting until after Mania to get called up, because I will say I respect the fact that she probably has some more story to tell in NXT, but considering she lost the NXT Women's Championship to Becky Lynch, now there's already a new NXT Women's Champion. Her winning the title again isn't necessarily something I need to see, and I think she has so much interest right now that you don't just let that fester in NXT. You strike while the iron's hot.
Agree to disagree on that. I respect your opinion, though.
Damn right you agree. Damn right. Damn. Let's just go to the comments real quick. Nas saying Tiffany has it, period, and that her moonsault was awesome. I completely agree. BX saying Alabama Slamma in the JBL voice. It's the only thing about JBL I miss. I loved how he sold the Alabama Slam. And BX coming up with a fun stat, or I guess a sad one, depending on how you look at it. SmackDown had more women's segments tonight than AEW has had all month. I don't necessarily think that's true. I don't know. I don't have the data in front of me, but I wouldn't be shocked if the numbers are pretty comparable. So good showing between these two women. And one last bit I do want to say about Stratton. She has a very unique style. Granted, she was working with a much smaller talent in Zelina Vega tonight, so you can get away with doing a little bit more. But she has a powerhouse style mixed in with a high-flying style. It's not something you see all that often, especially from the women in WWE. So I really, really am enjoying her addition to the roster, and I am really, really enjoying the dynamic we're seeing. Tiffany got a higher rate. Yeah, we are going to get into the ratings at the end of the show. We did see that was something that came into play throughout the show tonight. Man, those ratings really. Let me just tell everybody now. I don't care if this gets clipped or not. If you care this much about the ratings, guys, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I'm going to let you in on something I've been doing ever since there were ratings in these games. I alter them to what I think is appropriate for the talent. It's not hard. It's just a little meter that you go left and right on certain things. I've done this with every game with almost every wrestler on the roster. It's not that hard. And I get it. If we want to be outraged at certain levels of quote unquote respect or disrespect that they show the talent, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Go in, be the change you want to see in the universe, in this case, the WWE universe, and change the ratings however you see fit. Logan Paul is at, I think, 90. Yeah. That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. Maybe not, but it's just crazy. Don't worry. Na is asking in the comments, how do you guys feel about Corey Graves being the lead guy on commentary? That is a great question, Nas. It's interesting to me to see that transition, because Corey for the longest time was a color commentator. He was not a play-by-play guy. So now with this dynamic of Corey Graves and Wade Barrett, we have two former wrestlers. I don't think that's ever been a thing before, where the only two people on the table are former professional wrestlers. There's usually somebody who's who used to work and somebody who's just, outside. But I do think it's a good dynamic. I've always been a Corey Graves fan. I understand that he rubs certain people the wrong way, but I'm going to let you in. Again, another little secret, a little insider secret. That's him doing his job. He's a heel. if he's rubbing you the wrong way, he's doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing. And granted, look, there are ways of doing it right and wrong. When Michael Cole was peak heel Michael Cole years ago, it made me want to mute my TV. That was a lot. Booker T, I don't even know what the hell to describe Booker T as a commentator. It doesn't do it for me. But these guys are doing what they were brought in to do. So I think Corey Graves is going to kill it in this role. He's probably going to need to adjust a little bit now with the...
Can I say it?
Yeah.
Shucky ducky quack quack. Oh, yeah.
All right. He's also somehow Macho Man, too. But, yeah, I'm very much rooting for Corey. I think he's going to kill it in this job. And we have people on Twitter saying Corey Graves is way better as a color commentator. Someone else saying Corey is doing a phenomenal job in a different role. He's a fantastic talent. It's going to take time for people to adjust no matter what side of this you're on. But good for Corey Graves. I do think he's earned it. He's put in his time behind the table, and the more he does, the more comfortable he will be. And I do think he has a good partner in Wade Barrett.
I think they played off well tonight. The two of them together felt good, and I feel like it's only going to get better with time. So I've no complaints on my part. I think I need to go really into it. I think you covered it pretty much.
Let's see, any comments? All right, Nas saying the ratings don't mean anything at the end of the day. Going back to the WWE game. BX saying James definitely edited John Cena to 99 on everything. I mean, at the very least, I gave him 100 on heart. The man's got heart, and he's got grit. Well, I guess Adam Copeland has grit, but BX also saying, good point, Nas. This ain't Madden. Even the ratings are a work. That is very good. And then, of course, we had our shucky ducky quack quack in the comments. But moving on, any last words on this match, or are we good to go?
No, match is good, and we can cover ratings more later if need be.
All right.
Next up, we got this segment. You got it?
Yep. Backstage, we had AJ Styles channeling his inner emo kid, just brooding in the hallway in one of the lockers. Just, ooh, boy, man, this guy... whatever. He is eventually confronted, or I guess approached, by the OC, being the Good Brothers and Michin. Styles laid into Anderson. Anderson having said that AJ forgot where AJ came from. AJ shot up, spiked him right in the face, and they had to be separated by Gallows. If this is leading to a match between the two, yeah, we're going to get into that in a bit. But if this is leading to a match between the two, between AJ Styles and Carl Anderson, I think this will legitimately be Carl Anderson's best match since the G1 against Okada over 10 years ago at this point. Anything you want to get into this?
A lot of angst from AJ. I don't really care. I think they're better together, though. You know, like I said, there's a bunch of male trios on SmackDown. Why get rid of one? And I would love to see more from Carl. I feel like he's the X factor of the group. And I think if you give them more than 10 minutes to wrestle on TV, like him and AJ, or him and anybody, honestly, I think it'd be a great match. And I think they should invest in Carl, because Carl's great. And I'm not just saying that because that's my dad's name, even though it's with a C.
That's fair. Rev in the comments saying G1 final is hoot. Yep. Never forget. I think the thing with Carl is we all know he is a talented guy, but he and Gallows have very clearly found the secret formula for success. These guys are getting paid millions and millions of dollars, and sometimes they don't even travel to TV. So I just don't think either of the Good Brothers has cared all that much in a very long time. But I can't blame him. The man's got like 5 or 6 kids. He's got to be exhausted.
That little, the separating them was kind of awkward, but forgivable.
Yeah, awkward, forgivable but the intensity was there. I will take it. Moving on, we had a video package for Io Sky, Kairi Sane, and Asuka. The three spoke in Japanese, and Sky said it's the EO era. Asuka called out Dakota Kai, and Kairi did the same. Asuka ended it by saying, "No one is ready for Damage Control." So I guess that is going to be the continuing name for this trio. I agree. I don't know that it necessarily suits. I don't have a problem with the Damage Control name. I think it worked when it was Bailey, Dakota, and Io. I don't know that it necessarily fits for these three, but I'd almost rather this than them coming up with another very, I don't want to say racist, but it's just like their attempt at coming up with a creative Japanese name.
To be fair, I read that the gals, they came up with the Kabuki Girls and the
I think it was Saraya who changed it to the Kabuki Warriors.
Yeah, they were like, we can't do Kabuki Girls, but we can do Kabuki Warriors. So it wasn't like, even though WWE has done a lot of questionable stuff.
I'm not even just saying WWE, as it just never felt like there was something about the name that never just felt right with me. And I'm not even saying from just an inappropriate sense. That there's nothing inappropriate about it. I don't know. I feel like there's a middle ground between Kabuki Warriors and Damage Control.
I just think Damage Control is kind of I actually like the name. I just think the group as a whole just never really succeeded much, you know, in their main goal.
Yeah.
So it's why keep it? Just move on, find something else. But again, creative might not be on creative's radar or their list of priorities.
You also have to think that maybe from a storyline standpoint, this is Asuka, Kairi, and Io saying that they got rid of the weakness in Damage Control, and they are what really made Damage Control great at any point. So I don't know. Nas in the comments saying he agrees that he thinks Damage Control needs a new name. Let's see how long this group even stays the group past Mania. So give it time. BX saying Paige named them in kayfabe, but I think the reporting was Asuka and Sane came up with the name themselves.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah. And Danny in the comments saying keeping the name Damage Control seems like a direct shot at Bailey. It's throwing salt in the wound. That's pretty much what I was saying too, but I think Danny said it a little bit better. So wish you guys were here. But moving on, we then had a squash, just a quick old squash, as the Authors of Pain defeated Javier, Burnell, and Bo Morris in about a minute. I don't know how long it actually went. I don't know what the time frame was. I'll just finishing up this comment. Danny saying, that being said, the group has been mid from the start, unfortunately. So much potential that they never really were quite able to reach, both through booking decisions and injury situations with Dakota. Do you have anything you want to say about Authors of Pain?
Big old squash, like you said. I don't mind squash matches. I just always hate it when it's only one dude gets a tag in. It's okay, let's just hit the guy on the outside. I mean, they did it decently with the smack together power bombs, but I don't know. I was never big on AOP until they teamed with Seth, and then one of them got injured. So I really still don't have an opinion other than that whole thing they did after they left WWE, which was questionable. But
what did they do?
They were going to do a stadium show, and then it got canceled, and they didn't pay people, and it was a whole thing, and somehow they made it back to WWE, even though they kind of did some pretty crappy stuff to people.
Gotcha.
So
yeah,
see if they end up being any good.
I am with you. I've never been the biggest AOP fan. I like what they represent. They're two big hosses, and every division should have that team. But yeah, I like them much better as the heavies for the guy in front of them, whether it was Seth or now Cross. I think that's when they work when they are doing their best. And look, they did have some good matches in NXT. You could argue that they were carried by the teams that they were wrestling, but it does take two to tango no matter how you paint it. And they do fit their role really well. Or they did fit their role really well. But give it time. We're living in the play it out era. Let it play out era. So let's let it play out a little bit longer before we just say, I don't care if they're on TV again. And I'm not saying you're saying that. I'm saying most of us might be saying that.
Speaking longer, I know this was a very short match, so we probably won't have much to say, but I did want to touch on, like, what are they doing with this group? Like, I figured Karrion Kross would be in the chamber, but he's not. Like, could you even see this tag team, like, having a tag title match at Mania? Could you see any of them doing anything at Mania?
So I've been kind of paying attention to the way Triple H has been introducing acts on the main roster, whether it's having them debut or reintroducing certain people or whatever. It's very similar to how he would do things in NXT during the early days of Black and Gold. We would see these people have their debut. We would see these people have a big splash in the beginning, but then when you would see a gap, and then they would come back. So it's almost like they were planting the idea of these guys being a thing, and then as time passed, they finally let that grow into something bigger. I don't think we're going to see Kross and AOP do anything of note until after Mania.
That's sad.
It is, but realistically, where do you fit them in at this point? I don't have Kross doing anything of value right now, just because there are so many other people who deserve that spot more, in my opinion. And AOP is, like we just said, they're serving their best when they're heavies for the guy in front of them.
You actually asked a question there. I would do a bunch of like do a 4-way trios match at Mania, because there's so many guys that I can't see doing anything at Mania, and it's a shame. Like what's Bobby Lashley? What's the Pride gonna do? I can't believe they went with that name. But what's the Pride gonna do at Mania? What's this group gonna do at Mania? What's LWO going to do at Mania? What's Legado del Fantasma going to do at Mania? I don't know what any of those groups are going to do at Mania. Probably be in the Battle Royal. I would much rather see a 4-way turf war trios match. And if you don't like it, you can, kiss my butt.
No, I don't. I'm a big trios guy, whether it's WWE or AEW or wherever. I do like trios in concept. I do think 4 trios in a match is a lot of bodies at once. I would say
meat.
I agree, but most of that meat is going to be on the apron.
Meat's good anywhere. Give me some meat.
Clip that, baby. Producer boy, Rev was right, man. We're getting some good intro stuff we could have put in. We might have jumped the gun on making that new intro. But
yeah, I wasn't in it.
We're working on it. I promise. A lot of stuff has been changing. BX saying AOP versus Sanity was wild. It was a very good NXT match, and we are big fans of Sanity here at the Market Down podcast. And Nas saying, I don't see Authors of Pain doing anything significant at all. It's very possible. These guys are former tag team champions, both in NXT and on the main roster. It was a blink and you miss it tag team run, I think they had on the main roster, but it did exist. So I'm not counting them out yet, but quite frankly, if I'm going to be honest, I don't care one way or the other.
Those were sad tag team title days when they won them. That was like a really bad string, in my opinion.
I don't necessarily think you're wrong. But moving on, we go to a backstage interview where Logan Paul is interviewed and said all the fans are welcome because he's going to knock out The Miz later. Logan then said he's going to win the chamber and challenge Seth Rollins at WrestleMania to become a double champion. Fine. I don't think we got to spend too much time on it, but Logan knows how to cut a promo. We got to give him that.
It made Seth versus Logan sound interesting.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He hyped it up as well as he could. We then had a quick video recapping the Cody, Roman, Rock, Seth drama from the press conference, which I'm still reeling from. It was such a great show. I know some people were split on it, but I think they killed it. But moving on, we then have our Elimination Chamber qualifying match where Logan Paul took The Miz on. I know you weren't crazy about it. We talked about it briefly beforehand, but I enjoyed it enough. I wasn't crazy about the finish, and we can get into all the details in a second, but I have seen the reception to this match be pretty positive online. So I do think that you might be the minority on this, but that's okay. We take all opinions here at the Market Down podcast. And I think some of that success of how well this match was received has to go into the dynamic that these two men have. Logan really started cutting his teeth in WWE. His first matchups were with The Miz as a partner and then as an opponent eventually. So these guys have Logan definitely has more history with The Miz than anybody else in the company. So I think this was a better match than it should have been. A weak finish with Logan hitting that mean right hook. Was it a right hook? What does he name that move? That punch?
It's just a punch, right? The right hook, I guess. Yeah.
Whatever. He hit him with the punch, and then he hits him with an inverted skull crushing finale. Gotta tell you, terrible looking move. Don't like it. I understand what he was going for. It was like the opposite of what the Miz's finish is. And there's, like I said, there's a lot of history between these guys. But, oh man,
this is what I was talking about.
Yeah.
That was after a really bad moonsault. Like he honestly, he just rushed it. Like he was like set up. He was not set up properly for the moonsault. And he was kind of just like, F it, I'm going to do it anyway. And like, it was terrible. Yeah. And it happens. It's not the end of the world. Nobody got hurt, thank God. Yeah. But again, this match didn't work for me. He hit a pole-crushing finale before the reverse finale that you talked about, and that was good. And at least, like you said, the reverse thing, it was bad. It wasn't like a cool finish, but at least the camera got in close.
Yes.
Like, I'm going to the Elimination Chamber, and that was just like, it sold. It was like, boom, this is cinema.
No one can say that Logan Paul doesn't know how to play to the camera. No one can say that Logan Paul doesn't know how to self-promote, whether it's in a match or anywhere else. So, fine showing between these two men. I do agree the botch was pretty rough, but overall, I do think the match was all right. Yeah, I got nothing past that. Logan going to the chamber. It's going to be interesting. I think he's better suited for the chamber than I want to see Miz in the chamber at this point. So
and he's never been in one, so I would agree.
Exactly. My only fear is we are inching closer and closer to Miz and R-Truth actually taking the tag titles off of Judgment Day. And I'm not as mad about it as other people on the pod will be. I know Danny cannot be happy at that prospect, but I don't. Feels not the right way to go either.
I like them in 2011. I think that's
exactly.
Last time I was on the pod, there was my 5 words about them. I don't really like them together now, but I like them then. And so, who knows? There's so much that can happen. I mean, stupid Damien still has that briefcase.
The amount of I have spent so much mental energy trying to figure out what they're going to do with the Money in the Bank briefcase. I have seen so many conspiracy theories, so many concepts being presented. None of them are super satisfying, and they really put themselves into a corner with it. So
I think Logan Paul would have been best set with that briefcase.
I don't think anybody right now. I don't think the issue is Damian Priest. I think the issue is there was a time where it really made sense for Priest to cash in. And they didn't do it. They teased it a bunch. And then they didn't do it. And now, there are so many other people that it should be in the title scene. Like, I don't think anyone is going to be satisfied if Damian Priest cashes in on Roman or Cody. If he cashes in on Drew McIntyre, I'm not going to be rooting.
Same.
And even if he cashes in on Seth, I'm going to think to myself, you had like 7 opportunities in the last 2 months where you could have cashed in on a broken, wobbling Seth Rollins that at this point, it's almost too late for you.
The only interesting thing that can happen in my mind is something to do with Bad Bunny. Like, not that I want to see Bad Bunny be world champion, but like, I don't know. But I think we don't want to get too off topic with Damian Priest because he's Raw and we're on SmackDown. So,
I mean, hey, there was a lot of Raw on SmackDown tonight.
You're right. I mean,
the last thing I want to point out with this match with Logan Paul and The Miz, this was Logan Paul's first matchup on SmackDown. That's crazy.
I agree. I'm glad you actually brought it up before we went on to the next segment. It feels like the whole Tiffany Stratton situation. Why would you do it on the night that The Rock is coming back? Like, everyone's going to be talking about The Rock tonight, which we haven't talked about yet, but we're going to. Why not save it for like next week or the week before? That be Logan's first televised.
So you got to think about it this way. The Rock was very heavily advertised for this episode of SmackDown. So much so that they broke an indoor attendance record for the show. You know you're going to have more eyes on this episode of SmackDown than you would have normally. You put on people that you care about people seeing. Nobody was ever, the internet wasn't going to break when Tiffany Stratton debuted on SmackDown, whether it was last week, this week, or next week. But guess what? She happens to be on what will be a more washed episode of SmackDown than normal. Logan Paul, same thing. Logan Paul, I know he has his fans. He's not necessarily, I don't know. I don't have the metrics on if he's a huge ratings draw or not. But he's been around a long time at this point that it doesn't really matter when his first televised match is. For me, what's more interesting is the fact it took this long to get here. So if The Rock is going to be bringing people in, if The Rock is going to be putting eyes on your product and you care about developing these people and building a relationship with the audience and these people, you do it on a night where you know there's going to be more eyes who might be interested. That's why there was another debut that happened tonight, and we're going to get into that shortly as well. Let's see. Moving on. We had a backstage segment where Tiffany Stratton spoke to Liv Morgan and Bianca Belair. Jade Cargill broke the conversation up, and the ladies jawed at each other. Nick Aldis stepped in and told Tiffany that it wasn't the time or the place. Tiffany then left, and Breaker Cargill walked out of the room with Aldis. I will say one thing that kind of does support what you were saying about Stratton maybe debuting later.
Support me.
It's not necessarily this aspect of the same night as The Rock or whatever. I don't know why we're debuting these people in a match that they're almost certainly going to lose. Jade isn't qualified for the Elimination Chamber, correct?
No, but remember when I
She
talked
was
about
originally
the spoiler thing? Like,
yeah.
If you didn't know, WWE.com, they put up like a thing of like, oh, women that are going to be in the Elimination Chamber, and they put a filter over it so that you weren't supposed to be able to see it, but it was a really bad filter, and you could clearly see that it was Tiffany Stratton and another. I'm not going to spoil it here, but like the other woman, and then a third woman, and the third woman is definitely Jade Cargill. So,
and I don't think Jade is in that match anymore. I don't think she's going to be in the match.
Okay,
right?
Well, it's interesting. We're talking about this segment. They walked out. She didn't walk out with the contract. Braun Breaker walked out with the contract.
So we'll talk about that in a second. But do you debut Jade Cargill in not debut? She debuted at the Rumble. But do you have her go into a match like Elimination Chamber and lose? I wouldn't. I'd wait.
I think the only way that's salvageable is if you do something like, what was it last year where they had the U.S. Elimination Chamber match and like everyone just kicked. It took everybody to pin. Essentially, it took everyone to essentially eliminate Bronson Reed. Like,
and I get that.
You save that.
And I get that. But the difference is, we'll say what Nas said. Nas says he still thinks that Jade will somehow be in the match. It's possible. We don't know the final number yet. I think there's a difference between the Bronson Reed thing and the Jade thing. Bronson's role is to be the monster that is conquered. That is his role in the company. He's not meant to be a winning monster. He's meant to be there to be an obstacle for good guys to climb over. Jade isn't that character. Jade is meant to be the dominant force who also wins. So yes, you could do a scenario like you said, where you have the rest of the chamber just obliterate her, and it took the entirety of the match to take her out. But quite frankly, it's not satisfying if you're rooting for Jade to be this dominant force in WWE. So I don't know. Let's see what they go with. Rev saying, "Bless you, Matt."
Thank you. Yeah, I muted that sneeze. I was hoping nobody noticed, but yeah, we'll see. Like I said, she was in the spoiler image, which came true tonight so far. We'll see if that. And I don't know if the producer boy has that image in mind. I should have said something before the show started, but I'm sure people that are watching have seen it. It was like a kind of like it was supposed to be not shown, but you could clearly tell who it was. It's like seeing someone in a shower, like a slightly steamy shower, but not too steamy.
Yeah, there's definitely a glaze over it. But moving on, we had a brief view of Grayson Waller being seen talking to Paul Heyman in the back. And then we get to the ring, and we have our next women's Elimination Chamber qualifying match as Naomi took on Alba Fyre. I thought it was fine. I didn't love this match particularly. I think there's a part of me that's still kind of bitter that Naomi's in WWE and she left WWE, left TNA. But I thought the match was fine. Maybe I am being a little too critical of it, but it didn't blow me away or anything. I thought it was a fun finish as she transitioned into her submission, making Alba tap out. I thought that was well done. But yeah, totally not a bad match, but it just didn't wow me.
I liked how Alba and Isla Dawn were constantly getting involved and taking advantage of the situations that were presented to them. So I mean, obviously that made it easier to root for Naomi. The match was decent. The only big complaint I had was they did a corner spot that just Alba didn't have a good grip, and then probably I don't know if she was really strong enough to pull off that spot the way that they intended, and it kind of slowed everything down.
Yeah.
But I did, like I said, I did like the finish. I was not even aware she had I did not realize she had a submission finisher. Is that new?
Yeah, she used it towards the end of her WWE run, and she used it almost as a primary finisher in TNA. And now she's integrating it back again into the WWE repertoire.
Yeah, I was not aware. I was definitely just, I loved her. Yeah, that was also another part where it slowed down a little bit. But
well, no, this wasn't part of it. This was
sorry.
That was her versus Kylan King in Impact on TNA.
I was gonna say it looked quicker than it did when I saw it earlier. She's got some cool moves. Especially she did a great leg drop tonight. I remember that early on in the match.
Oh, Naomi?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Naomi, I think Naomi has always been a very capable wrestler. I think she's always been one of the more athletic women in the WWE. I think she certainly refined herself in TNA. I think she got the confidence of a main eventer in TNA. So I'm glad that she's going a little more wild. I'm glad she's killing it now. Just producer boy, you could just say you hate women. we don't need visual proof. But fun match between these two ladies. Next, we have, oh boy, I wish JL was here. Oh no, actually, one more segment first. Bayley was shown walking backstage, and she was interrupted by Dakota Kai. Dakota telling Bayley that she thinks Damage Control is coming after her. Bayley said she didn't know who she could trust, and then she just leaves and couldn't talk to Dakota. This is a great way to take an ally and turn her into an enemy, Bayley. Even if Dakota is actually on your side, you're kind of just leaving her out to dry a little bit. Wow, very interesting question by Iron Lion in the comments. Iron Lion, it's been a while since we've spoken, so happy to have you here. Iron Lion asking, who else wants Rollins versus Rock at Mania? I won't lie. Do I want it at Mania this year? No. Is that a matchup that is kind of intriguing to me in general? Yes. I think we're going to have to settle for the tag team match that we're almost definitely going to get. But these two, Rollins knows how to bring it. He knows how to have a fun match with almost anybody. And I think he and Rock would be able to tear it up. That said, Rollins is known for injuring people. And Rock, I don't like this narrative that Rock can't wrestle a match anymore. I don't know how we got there. When we have six. No, it's not even just you. A lot of the internet is with you on that. But the truth is, we have Sting wrestling almost weekly as a 64-year-old man jumping off of skyscrapers, going through tables, getting hit with weapons. I don't know why we don't think Rock can wrestle a standard match, let alone a tag team match. But yes, Seth can be a little rough. So
I wouldn't mind seeing that match. It's funny, the press conference, I thought at the end of the press conference, I'm like, I'm not sure what just happened. Seth didn't look great, but I think we're getting a fatal 4-way. Now they keep telling us it's Cody versus Roman, and I guess it looks like we're getting that tag match between the four of them from the press conference on night one. I wouldn't mind seeing Seth versus Rock on night one instead. Would I prefer it? not necessarily, but I think it's definitely an option that if that, for whatever reason, that ends up happening, I wouldn't mind at all.
I think
don't want to see Seth lose.
As interesting and as exciting as this build up to Mania has been, there are definitely more satisfying outcomes than others. You don't want to see Seth get completely forgotten, as he's done his best to stay relevant both in this feud and with that title. And if Rock is going to wrestle, you want him to have a important matchup as well. And that's not to say Seth wouldn't be an important matchup, but it doesn't necessarily feel like the reason we brought Rock back. So I don't know. Going to the comments real quick, we have Dragoon saying, Dakota Kai, really happy you were able to join us for that one, Dragoon. He unfortunately didn't get to watch much because he was busy kicking boxes. Why would you kick boxes, man? Boxes are useful.
Box kicking.
Yeah, like what the hell? Rev saying he's pretty sure it was The Rock who jumped off a skyscraper. Bravo, sir. Iron Lion saying Sting is the overlooked GOAT. I don't know how overlooked Sting is, but Sting is one of the best of all time, and I'm very much looking forward to his swan song at AEW Revolution on March 3rd. Dragoon saying, wait until Fallon Henley gets called up, and just him being a very thirsty goober. And
he's doing something with Tiffany Stratton at the moment in NXT.
Yeah.
Like Tiffany Stratton is forced to work for Fallon Henley at her farm, and like it's the very bad,
Matt. NXT isn't canon.
Well, yeah, because Braun Breaker didn't.
We're gonna get to it. I know you've been chomping at the bit for this, so let's talk about it now. Nick Aldis standing in the entranceway with a microphone in hand and introduces SmackDown's newest signing. WWE's hottest free agent is no longer a free agent as Braun Breaker debuts on SmackDown as a part of the roster, signing the contract and shaking Aldis's hand. I'm not going to lie. I love this because now I am more confident than ever. He is not going to be the guy to take the title off Gunther. I don't think Jey Uso is going to be the guy to take the title off Gunther either. I really think Big E is going to be a thing. I really, whew, again, the case of the vapors, I think it's going to be Big E. Nevertheless, very excited for Braun Breaker to finally be on the main roster. I think it's something we've all been waiting for a very long time, especially as he's been heating back up again in NXT. And now I'll let you go because I know how passionate you are about this. You've been chomping at the bit. Go for it. Why were you upset about Braun Breaker being...
Sorry. I couldn't even wait.
It's okay. Go for it. Go. Have fun. Be wild.
I'm just annoyed with and again, this is just a angry wrestling nerd rant on the internet. It's a bread and butter. They're never consistent about people holding the NXT titles on the main roster or not. You look back at Sasha Banks, goes to the main roster. She's the NXT Women's Champion. She's not holding the title. Kevin Owens goes to the main roster. He's holding the NXT title. And there's a couple other turns that go along with it. This time around, Braun Breaker is the current NXT Tag Team Champion along with Baron Corbin. He's not holding the title. What's the harm in him holding the title? It's like, look at this guy. He's a champion. This champion's coming to SmackDown. That's so cool. Oh, but he's also a champion, so maybe I should go and watch him on NXT as well. You have options here, and you take away those options, and you make NXT look less. And trust me, I think NXT has been awful for like 4 years now, but you should still acknowledge it and try and make it better. And he's one of the best things that happened in NXT in the last 4 years.
So I agree with that statement. He is one of the best things that have happened to NXT in a long time. I've been thinking about it since you brought it up initially before the podcast started tonight. There is a reason why certain championships get brought up and shown on TV and when they don't. When Kevin Owens came up as the NXT champion to challenge John Cena, That was at a time frame where they were trying to establish NXT as a viable brand in itself. They wanted to show that the best that NXT had to offer could potentially beat the best that WWE's main roster had to offer, in that time being John Cena. We had that iconic image of Kevin Owens holding the NXT title and stomping on the US title, because to him, that first match that Kevin beat Cena wasn't for the US title. He wanted to prove that he's better and what he's holding means more. I'm talking right now. Rude. Means more than the US title did. Right now, the story isn't about the NXT tag team titles. The story is they're debuting Braun Breaker, this guy who had an excellent showing in the Royal Rumble, and they have high hopes for. He was named the hottest free agent in WWE. You don't want to baggage him with all of this extra stuff. You don't want to weigh him down with baggage like, well, he happens to be part of the NXT Tag Team Championship. He's partners with this guy that nobody liked, so we had to send him back down to NXT in Baron Corbin. They had this weird makeshift team that Baron didn't want, but Braun wanted. That's a lot of story for a guy that they're just debuting as a solo act. He's not coming up as part of a tag team with Baron Corbin. He's coming up as Braun Breaker. So I get what you're saying. It is frustrating. It really is. But I understand the story aspect of it. Their tag team title reign is not going to be long for this world. I don't think. I think it's going to go a few weeks. They're going to lose it, and that's it. The same thing with Tiffany Stratton before. They're not acknowledging that she's working on a farm for Fallon Henley. They're just acknowledging, here's Tiffany Stratton, this woman who's going to be taking the SmackDown women's division by storm. If you acknowledge all these other things that they're doing, it takes away from what they're doing right there on screen.
But Tiffany Stratton doesn't have to bring the farm to SmackDown. Braun Breaker's got to bring, like, as champions, they got to bring the titles everywhere they go. So theoretically, in storyline, he would bring it to SmackDown. I don't think there's any harm in him bringing it to SmackDown. And like you said, I don't think he's going to have the titles long. And also, we should give Baron Corbin some credit. I've never been a fan. Don't really like him much. Don't think he's very good. But this tag team is working. Their partnership has been working. And it's definitely it's breathed new life into Baron Corbin's career. And so or at the very least, they should be consistent. It's like, are you going to have NXT guys have their titles when they come to the main roster, or are you not? Like, don't go back and forth.
Fair enough. You want consistency, and I respect that opinion. Kobe Bryant in the comments saying, we want Cody. I agree with your sentiment, Kobe. Very surprised to have you here. I'm not going to lie.
No arguments here, though.
China completely blocks Messi. That I don't know why Producer Boy brought it up, that tweet, but it is what it is. But Kobe, we do love Cody here on the Mark It Down podcast. Right now he's on Monday nights, so that's when we'll be talking about him. We covered Raw this week. We'll be covering Raw this upcoming Monday, so please be sure to check us out there, because that's where we're going to get our Cody fix probably until WrestleMania. But finally, we're moving on to the main event. A really fun segment, a really interesting segment, because quite frankly, there's a lot of story here. Kobe saying he hasn't seen today's program yet. Give it a go when you can. The show was fun. The show was good. There were certain high points that are definitely more important than others. We're about to get into probably the most important one of the night, as we have the Bloodline come out. We have Roman Reigns being flanked by Paul Heyman, Solo Sikoa, and Jimmy Uso. And Roman Reigns doesn't say a whole lot. He doesn't say a whole lot, but he does say one thing of real note. Finally, The Rock is a part of the Bloodline. I'll get into the details. Paul Heyman presented Roman Reigns with a microphone in the ring. Roman told Salt Lake City to, of course, acknowledge him. I didn't do that one as well. The crowd definitely was into it. They really do love the acknowledging stuff. The crowd loves acknowledging Roman. Roman asked the crowd if he could be honest with the crowd, and proceeded to say that the people of Utah are idiots. And just like that, Roman got his heel heat back. Reigns said he didn't want the fans to ruin a big night because when The Rock comes out, they might go dumb. Roman then says that everything they will say has meaning and purpose, and it's information everyone needs to understand. He then said tonight is history. The crowd responding with a loud Cody chant, proving Cody right. We do want Cody. Roman then stopped talking. He then got back on track and said that tonight is the first night that they could say The Rock is a member of the Bloodline. And that's finally when The Rock's music hits. Oh, we have BX in the comments saying they need to bring back Hollywood Rock theme. See, I do agree, but at the same time, this isn't Hollywood Rock. This is Samoan Rock. This is Tribal High Chief Rock. Not that I'm saying I really want a Samoan twist on this music, but it's not the same heel character we saw a long time ago.
It's got the spirit of it though, and he's also like board of directors Rock too. So maybe they'll play into that at some point. The
Rock comes out and he's wearing, oh God, chef's kiss, a vest version of the old shirt he used to wear, that $500 shirt that he used to wear during the Attitude Era, the gold shiny shirt. Now in vest form, Rock wearing the sunglasses. Yeah, I won't lie. I've loved seeing The Rock every time he comes back. There it is on the screen. The Rock is dressing like Ricky Starks, and it's amazing. Oh my God.
Life imitates art.
Oh my God. I don't know where we are in the simulation that Rock is dressing like Ricky Starks. What the fuck happened to Ricky Starks? Man, what? Poor Ricky. Even when he's not around, he's catching strays. Producer boy in the comments saying, I have a feeling the heel to face turn will be so quick that it'll be pointless to add that intro. It would be a nice little acknowledgement. It's not like it takes that much to do an entrance. But Rock comes out, and he felt more like The Rock here than he has in a really long time. Like I was saying a second ago, I love every time The Rock comes back just because I love The Rock so much. But there was a good period of time where he felt like Dwayne Johnson trying to be The Rock again. And I'm not saying tonight was 100% The Rock of old. Jesus, Ricky. Anyway, I'm trying to get the point across. There were a lot of things that Rock was doing that didn't feel like the typical pandering that The Rock does. And granted, he has a little more freedom now as a heel, but it wasn't the same old shtick in my opinion. Not 100%. Rock definitely took advantage, soaking in the crowd, soaking in the noise. He pointed out to his goosebumps coming down the ramp, and then we hit a quick commercial break. As the show returned, the Bloodline was standing on the side of the ring, or like not on the side of the ring, but they were standing on one side of the ring while Rock was standing central. Like I said, took in that crowd, which was mixed. The people don't want to hate him. They don't want to, but they are not happy with what he's doing. Rock said he had good news to share. He said it would make everyone happy, and they did. The crowd broke an all-time indoor attendance record for Salt Lake City and all of Utah. Rock said they broke the record for the biggest gathering of trailer park trash. Man, did he know how to get that crowd to boo him. We got this tweet. You're ruining your own fun trying to make sense of The Rock's promo. His points didn't make sense, and that's the point. He sees himself as bigger than the Royal Rumble and Cody and his fans. He doesn't care who won. Perfect heel logic. Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree.
I was thinking the same thing as he was going through, when you'll go through what the promo is. I was just kind of like, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. And then I'm just kind of like, but maybe it's not supposed to make sense. Maybe he's just so far up his own ass that, you know.
That's the beauty of being a heel. The things you say don't need to be true. They don't need to make sense. They need to push your agenda.
You just need to believe it.
You just need to believe it. And more importantly, you need to make other people believe it.
Jerry, it's not a lie if you believe it.
Oh my God. Okay. Our weekly Seinfeld reference, everybody. we then get Rock saying, finally, your life has meaning, and you and your 50 wives will have a story to tell. Rock really going into Utah. He calls the people inbred. Ultimately, Rock hit that he's come back to Salt Lake City, and the crowd cheered. Those crowds switched to those cheers, then switched to boos as soon as they got the cheap pop out of the way. Rock yelled at someone in the crowd, calling them fatty. That's classic Rock. And said he'd slap the herpes off of the fans' lips. Again, classic Rock. Rock said the biggest WrestleMania main event was in the fans' hands, and they let it go. They flushed it down the toilet, the same toilet that those people were sitting on when they were crying, "We want Cody." I'm actually proud of that. I thought I did that pretty well.
No, it was great. Keep going.
Thank you. Rock asked the fans, "What is Cody's story?" The crowd gave him a what? Rock pointed out that Roman beat Cody at WrestleMania last year. Rock said Cody wants a rematch now, but that's not how it works. Rock said that the logic is stupid. The Rock told everyone to shut their mouths to the what chants. You've got to be a little more prepared for that, Dwayne. You've been hearing the what chant since the 90s. Rock then applied the logic of the 49ers whining about losing the Super Bowl, saying that they needed to finish their story and beat the Chiefs, but they didn't. But the 49ers moved on like men. Rock said it's personal and referenced how Michael Jordan crushed the dream of the Utah Jazz. Jesus, he must fucking hate Utah.
No, topical reference there. I don't think any kid under the age of 15 knew what he was talking about with that one. I was just like, really, Rock? Really? The Utah Jazz, Michael Jordan, the Bulls? Come on.
Here's the thing. If you're from Utah, that's going to sting. If you're watching at home, you're like, what the fuck?
I still don't think any kid under the age of 15 would know what he was talking about.
But this is what you need to recognize.
Oh!
Okay.
Oh!
Producer boy back in the background playing stuff, not realizing he's loud. You got to understand something, Matt. Sports fans never forget. A lot of the North might not have ever remembered what happened at the Red Wedding, but the North will never forget what happened to the Starks at the Red Wedding. So that generational trauma, it just bleeds down, even if you weren't alive for it. So again, I'm telling you, we might not have got it. There might have been a lot of 15-year-olds on the internet who didn't get it, but I guarantee you, every Utah fan that was there was feeling that. But all right, this tweet saying, "Nah, The Rock is low-key a secret agent. He ain't in the bloodline for real. They whispered their plans right in Roman's face. Trust me." Cody said he's going to take everything from him, which is going to include two of his cousins, The Rock and Jay. Come back to this tweet after Mania. Maybe, but I know this isn't Fast and the Furious, but The Rock has always been about family. I don't necessarily know. We'll see.
And they still have to, if what we think is going to happen happens, they still have to team up with each other for night one of WrestleMania. So that could be the long game. But the short game,
I do think it's very possible that night one of WrestleMania dictates The Rock's actions on night two of WrestleMania. I think that's very possible. But let's see first, you know? Rock going back saying the real world doesn't mean people get a shot at a story just because they want it. Rock called the fans spoiled, entitled little crybaby bitches. Man, he is not holding back. Rock said he will do everything in his power to make sure Cody walks out of WrestleMania a loser. Rock said Cody's story is ending and the Bloodlines is just beginning. Rock then does his usual, if you smell, but stopped himself because the crowd was singing along and he made it known this is the sing-along time with The Rock is over. And then he says, if you smell what the Bloodline is cooking. And then the show ends, all members of the Bloodline, Rock included, putting the finger up. Not going to lie, I got real Nation of Domination vibes from that image of Rock doing it. That shirt, the arm up thing, I was teleported back to the 90s.
I think it was kind of, we talked about, I'm stuttering now, which because I've so excited about what was going on. But he really brought it home with that last line for me. That's what really sold it for me was, can you smell what the Bloodline is cooking? I'm like, done. We're good to go. Off to the races. Let's get to the next episode. We've got Elimination Chamber, and we've got more weeks to come to branch the story out before WrestleMania.
No, absolutely. It's as we've been saying, there is a lot of story left to tell. There is still a lot of time before Mania. It doesn't feel like it, but there is. They are telling this story over the course of 2 shows. It's happening on Raw. It's happening on SmackDown. They're getting a lot done. Dwayne throws up an L to describe his segment on tonight's SmackDown. Shut up. I don't fucking. If you didn't like this segment, you wanted more, and that's fine if you wanted more. But the truth is, this is exactly what we expected it to be. It was a small segment that helped push the story forward. We get it. Rock is now officially part of the Bloodline. It's something that we were all expecting to happen. It was something that we were all waiting to see the dynamic of. And let me tell you, I'm intrigued by the fact that Roman Reigns did not take center stage. Roman Reigns was off to the side with the rest of the family. How long do you think that's going to last? How long do you think Roman Reigns is going to sit idly by while The Rock is taking all of the spotlight? Roman's whole character has been about him being front and center, an egomaniac who wants all of the attention, all of the praise, and all of the acknowledgement. We are truly seeing a case of the unstoppable force meeting the immovable object with these two wild Samoans. So very interested what's going to continue. It might not have been a groundbreaking segment, but it accomplished a lot. It planted the seeds for a lot, and we got that shirt back. Can't ask for much more. So I very much enjoyed this segment. I'm very much looking forward to next week. Any final thoughts on the segment?
Yeah, like I said, he brought it home with the ending. I think that's what really sold it. And there's, we talked about it. It's like just great heel stuff. And it feels a little bit more evolved than just going back to Hollywood Rock.
Yep.
We'll see where it goes. You got the rebirth of the shirt. You got the rebirth of heel Rock. And he's in the Bloodline. So Mania's coming up. We'll see how that turns out. I hope Seth is doing well. I would like to see him. I want to see him get some stomps in before Mania, because I think he was kind of shortchanged at the press conference. And
he definitely needs something to make him look like an equal to these guys, because right now he definitely feels like he's underneath a little bit.
And, if he can pull off some stomps before Mania, that's great. Like, I understand if he's not physically like it, that, you don't want it, like a freak accident to happen and he gets taken out completely. So just play it by ear, but hopefully he can get more in the mix with all of this. And we have time. So there's time to take care of that with his story, Cody's story, the Bloodline, all of it.
Yeah. So
pretty good watch. I wouldn't say it was must-see TV, but I think they delivered overall.
I completely agree with that assessment. I thought this was an overall.
You shut your mouth, fatty. The Rock will come out there and slap the herpes off your lips.
We just got copyrighted. But Iron Lion saying he'd like to see Rollins build his own faction. We got close to it once. We really did with that Messiah group of his, when it was him and Buddy Murphy in WWE and AOP. He even had Austin Theory for a brief moment, but unfortunately, due to firings, the pandemic, and injuries, that all fell apart.
Did Austin Theory leave because he got Me Too'd or something?
No. There was a brief moment where there was an accusation, but it was proven false, or at least it's been deemed false at this point.
Gotcha.
I don't want to say proven, but it's been deemed false, and it was just he was filling up space when a lot of people were out. That's really what it was. And then they put him back down with very little explanation.
I remember him taking up space. I don't know. I don't remember if I remember him with Rollins, but that's a whole.
He was one of his disciples. So, guys, that was Friday Night SmackDown. The Bloodline is bigger. We can smell what they're cooking. And a lot of people now have a match at Elimination Chamber. Kevin Owens, Tiffany Stratton, Logan Paul, Naomi, all punched their tickets to Australia this week. So overall, like you said, Matt, maybe not must-see TV, but certainly push the story going forward for a lot of different storylines. So I'd say a worthwhile watch if you feel like checking it out. But I'd say this was a great... Oh, we will talk about it because we said we would. The rankings for the WWE video game. Matt, do you have the rankings for everybody that was mentioned?
Yes. So something I noticed, Kevin Owens, 86. Seems kind of low to me. Dominik Mysterio, 83. Also a little bit low. Then we got Zelina Vega with 74. Tiffany Stratton with 79. I don't think... Here's another interesting thing. AOP is not in the game, so they wouldn't get ratings. So this is where it starts to get kind of like turns into a problem, in my opinion. But then we got Logan Paul, 90. Miz, 81. And...
That feels a little low for Miz.
Yeah, I mean, though he kind of has had like a crap year. Like he's only just starting to like get reinvigorated. There we go.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody else got... It was just people that were in matches. So you didn't get anything from like Bailey or the Bloodline. So those were the ratings.
More will definitely be rolled out as we get closer to the game's release over these next couple of weeks. But like I said earlier, and I will say it again, don't stress the ratings, guys. They're arbitrary. I disagreed with one. I said, that feels a little low for Miz. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm probably going to bump him up to 84. Maybe if I'm feeling spicy, 85.
I would put KO at 90. I mean, he main evented night one of the last two Manias. You know,
he lost one of them. I put KO at like 88. I put KO at 88.
89 to compromise.
I'm feeling generous. Why not? BX saying, don't worry, James will have the full roster, the AEW roster, the ROH roster, and the TNA roster the day after it comes out. From your lips to God's ears, it's why I'm still playing WWE 2K19. It has the most complete roster of any of the games that have come out over the last couple of years, and in my opinion, still has a better gameplay system than what we've gotten since 20. I digress. That is a video for a different day. But guys... Yeah, definitely. Guys, that's Matt Cascone. I'm James Gisanti, and this is the Mark It Down podcast. We cover everything. WWE, AEW, TNA, all of it. We're even going to be trying to do a little bit more New Japan. Things have been heating up over there. But if you like us, please leave a like on this video. We appreciate it. One of my cats is going crazy over there. If you like this video, please leave a like. Subscribe. That way you can join us for future videos. We love having you guys. We have a good amount of regulars in here. We love interacting with everybody. So please come on through again. And if you can't watch us, listen to us. We're on most audio platforms. I'm loving the love, pal. Loving the love. But we're on most audio platforms. Go check us out wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. We'll be better than them. We'll do our best. I promise. And of course, check us out on all the social medias. We do the fun stuff. We do the memes. We do the reels. We do the TikToks. We do all that stuff. We even book our faces. We're there too. So check us out on social media. We love you. We have fun. And we get silly. But like I said, that's Matt Cascone. I'm James Gisanti. Watch wrestling. Watch Mark It Down. Producer boy, take us home.